Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Violence returns to Syria after rebels launch surprise offensive against government. More than 200 combatants killed as fighting rages on. West Asia on razor's edge as Israel and Hezbollah trade accusations of ceasefire violations. Netanyahu threatens intensive war if fragile truce is breached. Russian President Vladimir Putin says Russia could hit decision-making centers in Kyiv with new missile. Ukraine sees despicable escalation in the ongoing conflict. After Australia passes social media ban for children under 16, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says concerned firms now have a responsibility to protect the kids. News in detail now. Syrian rebel forces have launched a major offensive in northwestern part, capturing territory from President Bashar al-Assad's forces for the first time in years. The Islamist militant group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and allied factions said they had seized control of a number of towns and villages in Aleppo and Idlib provinces since Wednesday. The Syrian military said its forces were confronting a large-scale attack by terrorists and inflicting heavy losses on them. A UK-based monitoring group said more than 200 combatants on both sides had been killed in the fighting. At least 19 civilians had also been killed in Syrian and Russian airstrikes on opposition-held areas. More than 500,000 people have been killed in the civil war that erupted after the government cracked down violently on peaceful pro-democracy protest in 2011. Russia, a close ally of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, intervened in Syria's civil war in 2015, helping shift the conflict in Assad's favor. Israel said its Air Force struck a facility used by Hezbollah to store mid-range rockets in southern Lebanon on Thursday after both sides accused each other of breaching a ceasefire that aims to halt over a year of fighting. Israeli military said it also opened fire on Thursday towards what it called suspects with vehicles arriving at several areas in the southern zone, saying it was a breach of the truce with Iran-backed armed group Hezbollah, which came into effect on Wednesday. Hezbollah lawmaker Hassan Fadlallah in turn accused Israel of violating the deal. The Lebanese army later accused Israel of violating the ceasefire several times on Wednesday and Thursday. The exchange of accusations highlighted the fragility of the ceasefire, which was brokered by the United States and France to end the conflict fought in parallel with the Gaza war. The truce lasts for 60 days in the hope of reaching a permanent cessation of hostilities. Israel's airstrike on Thursday was the first since the truce took effect on Wednesday morning. The ceasefire deal stipulates that unauthorized military facilities south of the Litani River should be dismantled, but does not mention military facilities north of the river. Now, Hezbollah lawmaker Hassan Fadlallah accused Israel of attacking people returning to their villages in South Lebanon. He said that Israel had violated a ceasefire deal by firing on civilians returning home to their villages along Lebanon's southern border with Israel.
Today's message must be completed by having a national decision, first, to build a strong, just and capable state, and second, by having an army with the most modern weapons, and for its decision to be that of cabinet and government to counter any Israeli violation. There are violations today by Israel. Even in this form, we are with the state countering and carrying out its full role. That is why we say to.
Meanwhile, in his first interview since the Lebanon ceasefire, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that any failure by Hezbollah to comply with the ceasefire terms would lead to an intensive war. In the interview with the media outlet, Netanyahu described the Lebanon ceasefire as potentially brief, stating that Israel enforced it on its first day. Netanyahu said he had given the Israel Defense Forces instructions that in the case of a massive violation of the agreement, the response would extend beyond surgical operations like they are doing now. Well, Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened to strike decision-making centers in Kyiv with Russia's new hypersonic missile. Vladimir Putin says the Russian overnight missile and drone attack on Ukraine's power grid was a response to Ukraine's use of long-range US and UK weapons inside Russia. Russia fired more than 90 missiles and around 100 drones during the barrage, according to Kyiv, with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urging his allies to respond firmly to what he dubbed Russian blackmail.
We will respond to such acts of aggression against the Russian Federation. How and when and with what weapons we will respond will depend on the targets that will be selected by the General Staff of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. Because for each, a different type of weapon suitable for these purposes must be used.
Meanwhile, Ukraine reports no fatalities after the attack, but more than 1 million Ukrainians are left without power as 12 targets were struck. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of a despicable escalation, saying it had used cruise missiles with cluster munitions. He also discussed the attack with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who described targeting the energy sector as depraved.
We must respond together to Russia's attempt to make the situation more unbearable and to try to drag out this war. We are interested in peace, us and all partners. Now is the time to strengthen our positions, the positions of Ukraine and our partners. Any Russian blackmail must be met with a tough response, in the way Putin deserves, and we must see the prospect of ending the war with genuine peace together with America, together with Europe, together with all the partners.
Now, US President Joe Biden has said that Russia's overnight aerial attack against Ukraine is outrageous and serves as a reminder of the urgency and importance of supporting the Ukrainian people. Biden, in a statement released by the White House on Thursday, said that Russia continues to underestimate the bravery, resilience and determination of the Ukrainian people, adding the United States stands with more than 50 countries in support of Ukraine and its fight for freedom. Russia on Thursday unleashed its second big attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure this month, triggering deep power cuts across the country. President Vladimir Putin said Moscow had struck in response to Ukraine's strikes on Russian territory with US medium-range ATACMS missiles. Now, Britain and Iraq have signed a series of agreements aimed to target people smuggling gangs and strengthen border cooperation, the latest in its efforts to crack down on illegal migration. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced a deal with Iraq to tackle people smugglers and a white paper to overhaul the visa system. His comments came after Interior Minister Yvette signed an agreement with Baghdad to ensure close cooperation to tackle organized crime networks. Cooper also signed a new agreement to ensure failed Iraqi asylum seekers are returned home more swiftly. She met ministers from the federal government in Baghdad and regional leaders in Kurdistan in the north, where many smuggling gangs are based. The UK also pledged to support Iraqi law enforcement in combating other forms of serious organized crime, including drug trafficking.
And I'm pleased to announce today a new security agreement between Iraq and the UK. This is a world first that will help us smash the people smuggling gangs and secure our borders. The Home Secretary has been out in Iraq to seal this deal, and we've also announced funding for Iraqi law enforcement to tackle this problem upstream, way before it reaches our shores.
Following the unexpected victory of Romania's far-right presidential candidate Calin Georgescu, country's top court has ordered a recount of the votes from Sunday's first round of elections. Hundreds of Romanians gathered in central Bucharest on Thursday to protest against Georgescu, who unexpectedly won the first round of the presidential election. A small group of Georgescu also rallied on the streets to support of their candidate just hours after Romania's top court ordered a recount of votes. The Constitutional Court unanimously ordered the re-verification and recounting of voting ballots for the November 24 presidential election. The decision adds to the ongoing turmoil in Romania's electoral process which is set to hold these elections over the next 3 weeks. Irish Prime Minister Simon Harris made a final appearance on the campaign trail on Thursday as a slide in support for his Fine Gael party shown signs of stabilizing ahead of Friday's election. The last opinion poll before Friday's general election indicated a likely return of the centre-right-led coalition to government. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil have both pledged to govern again without Sinn Féin, meaning the left-wing party needs to finish well ahead of both to change that dynamic. Voting will start on Friday, bringing to close a close election campaign in which the main parties have sought to lure voters with ambitious spending plans to address a rising cost of living and a housing shortage. Immigration was another key campaign topic as the main political parties joined a raft of far-right independent candidates in adopting tougher stances on rising immigration. Now, a plane made successful landing at Greenland's new international airport. The newly opened airport, located near the capital Nuuk, is set to become a major hub connecting Greenland to global destinations, offering both passenger and cargo services. The new airport is part of a broader initiative to enhance Greenland's connectivity, boost its economy and strengthen its international relations. The airport's completion is expected to have a significant impact on tourism, with Greenland's stunning landscapes, rich cultural heritage. Now, Australian lawmakers passed landmark rules to ban under-16s from social media, approving one of the world's toughest crackdowns on popular sites like Facebook, Instagram and X. The bill passed both parliamentary chambers late on Thursday in the country's capital, which will soon mean social media firms will need to take reasonable steps to prevent young teens from having accounts. A trial of enforcement methods will start in January, with the ban to take effect in a year. A number of countries have vowed to curb social media use by children through legislation, but Australia's policy is one of the most stringent till date. Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Friday that social media platforms now have a responsibility to ensure the safety of the children.
And today, as a direct result of our legislation passed through the Parliament yesterday, through the Senate and confirmed in the House today, parents can have a different discussion with their young ones, a different discussion that will result in better outcomes and less harm for young Australians. Platforms now have a social responsibility to ensure the safety of our kids is a priority for them. We're making sure that mums and dads can have that different conversation today and in future days. We've got your back is our message to Australian parents.
Now, teenagers around the world are largely expressing a mix of disbelief, frustration and concern regarding Australia's new social media ban for children under 16. Teenagers in Madrid and Belgium criticised a new ban passed by Australia on social media. In a reference to the ban, secondary school student Javier Martinez said that he would not like this to happen in Spain.
I'm really strongly against it because I feel like we are a new generation that is accustomed of having social media in our life, and it's something we use on a daily basis, and I think restricting our use isn't going to help us.
It could be a good thing. I don't know what would be the perfect age to introduce people to social media. Growing up, we didn't have social media in my day, and there wasn't so much pressure to. I think now you've got such an insight to celebrities, and not just celebrities, but people that may be able to do things that you can't afford to do.
On the other hand, Parisians and London had mixed feelings for the Australian ban on social media. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. 15 people have died and at least 100 more are missing after a landslide triggered by heavy rains buried dozens of homes across several villages in eastern Uganda. The French Naval Air Group based around the aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle left Toulon on Thursday for a mission lasting several months that will take it to the Red Sea, then the Indian Ocean and the Pacific. U.S. Army trainees stationed at military bases across the country celebrated Thanksgiving away from their families and homes this year, marking a significant moment in their journey as soldiers. Despite being far from their loved ones, many trainees found ways to connect with the spirit of the holiday, embracing the camaraderie of their fellow service members while reflecting on the things they are grateful for. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. The 55th International Film Festival of India concludes with vibrant ceremony in Goa. India launches the first ever tranche of auction of mineral blocks in the offshore areas. And New York holds its 98th Thanksgiving parade under pouring rain.
We are living in times where things are changing at an unforeseen pace. And at the forefront of many of these positive changes are strong individuals who are looking towards the future.
Through the stories I tell, I try and sort of reignite that intuitive sense of how close we are to nature and how much there is to learn from it.
Organic farming, it also helps you not only reduce the carbon footprint, but also help adapt because you are promoting natural farming.
Very lightweight, but it makes you feel that you don't have to eat too much. In this NFT channel, we use net cups with cocoa peats on it. This helps to penetrate the roots. There will be nutritious water flowing through the channel that supplies essential nutrients for the plant.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. The General Secretary of ISKCON Bangladesh, Charu Chandra Das Brahmachari, said that Chinmoy Krishna Das Brahmachari does not belong to ISKCON Bangladesh as he was expelled by the organization. Addressing a press briefing at Swami Bagh Ashram in Dhaka, the General Secretary of ISKCON Bangladesh said that the organization would not shoulder any responsibility over his statements and speech. Some weather-related updates now. The deep depression in the southwest Bay of Bengal continues to wreak havoc across Sri Lanka, claiming 12 lives and leaving 2 people missing. As of 11:30 p.m. last night, the system was located 240 km northeast of Trincomalee and is expected to move northwest towards India's Tamil Nadu, with its impact on the island gradually diminishing. The Met Department has said that the system will gradually lose intensity, and turn into a depression by Saturday. The Disaster Management Center has reported that over 4 lakh people in 24 districts are affected, with around 36,000 individuals seeking refuge in 345 safety shelters. Flooding has damaged over 4,800 acres of paddy fields and 2,054 houses, while rising levels in reservoirs have further compounded the crisis. Flood warnings remain in place for several rivers, including the Mahavali and Kelani. Authorities urged residents to stay cautious and prioritize safety as relief efforts continue. India has been re-elected to the UN Peace Building Commission for 2025-26. As a founding member and major contributor to UN peacekeeping, India is committed to continuing its engagement with the PBC to work towards global peace and stability. India is strongly supportive of nationally led plans for peace consolidation, while arguing for a constructive approach and a lighter touch by the PBC in extending advice, support and in extending its involvement. India's unique combination of being the largest democracy in the world with a strong tradition of respect for rule of law and the successful experience in nation building makes it particularly relevant in the context of 21st century peace building. Now the suspense continues over the next Chief Minister of Western Indian state of Maharashtra. The BJP High Command has been in back and forth discussions regarding the Chief Minister's post with state, central and various stakeholders, and the final name is likely to be chosen in a day or two. Mahayuti leaders Devendra Fadnavis, Eknath Shinde and Ajit Pawar are in Delhi to discuss the seat-sharing formula and reach a consensus on the Chief Minister's name that will be accepted by all alliance partners. In the State Assembly elections, Mahayuti secured a landslide victory with 230 seats, including 132 for BJP in the 288-member State Assembly. Now, the 55th edition of IFFI concluded with a star-studded closing ceremony in Goa and witnessed the awards ceremony as well. Australian director Philip Noyce was bestowed with the prestigious Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award. With this, Golden and Silver Peacock Awards were also bestowed by the dignitaries present at the event. DD India's Deepika Mehto's report has more.
Bringing the curtains down on an enchanting journey, celebrating the joy of cinema and nurturing the future, the 55th International Film Festival of India concluded on 28th of November with a spectacular closing ceremony at Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Indoor Stadium in Goa. This grand finale marked the culmination of 9 days of cinematic brilliance, celebrating the art of storytelling and the spirit of global cinema. Featuring over 200 films from 75 countries, masterclasses by industry stalwarts and inspiring panel discussions, this year's IFFI has showcased unifying power of cinema.
This time it's a festival of the industry, for the industry, but this time with Shekhar Kapoor ji here, we made it by the industry possible. Yeah. So this festival truly exemplifies the best in the industry, and believe me, all these are the moments which we want to cherish. These are the moments we want to live, and it's great that we have been able to do it. We have the future here. Yeah. Future is now, sitting right here, and I think this is what makes this festival big. The biggest thing is the film bazaar. All of you would agree that this has been the biggest film bazaar, and thanks to Government of Goa for being such a great supporter of entertainment. Truly, Goa is the entertainment capital of our country. Thanks to the Honorable Chief Minister.
The Golden Peacock Award and the Silver Peacock Award were bestowed at the glittering closing ceremony. The most prestigious Satyajit Ray Lifetime Achievement Award was awarded to Australian director Philip Noyce. The 55th edition of IFFI witnessed celebrations, joy and a lot of world cinema uniting the stalwarts of the industry in one frame.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. India has appointed IFS officer VSDL Surendra as its next High Commissioner to Gabon. The Ministry of External Affairs announced a decision highlighting strong India-Gabon relations. Gabon's embassy in India was established in New Delhi in 2008. A 3-member Judicial Inquiry Commission led by Justice Devendra Kumar Arora has been formed to investigate the Sambal stone pelting incident. The November 24 clash during ASI's mosque survey left 4 dead and several injured. In a remarkable search and rescue operation, Indian Coast Guard safely evacuated 6 stranded fishermen and 4 workers from the Cuddalore Chemplas jetty. The jetty, located 2 kilometers into the sea, face deteriorating weather conditions. Some business updates now. Within a week of US President-elect Donald Trump announced his intention to put heavy tariff against Mexico and Canada, US President Joe Biden has said the move would be detrimental to American strategic interest. The outgoing US President Joe Biden was visiting a fire station in Nantucket, Massachusetts, as part of a series of Thanksgiving meetings with various U.S. Department workers. In reply to question on Trump's announcement of putting tariff against Mexico and Canada, he said that such a decision would be against U.S. interests, as both countries are strategically located as neighbors in 2 sides of the American borders. He hoped Trump would reconsider his decision.
I think it's a counterproductive thing to do. You know, look, one of the things you've heard me say before, that we have an unusual situation in America. We're surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and two allies, Mexico and Canada. And the last thing we need to do is begin to screw up those relationships. I think we've got them in a good place. I think by the way, you know, the cooperation with the outgoing president and the incoming president, the illegal crossings are down considerably to what they were back when he was in office. There's a lot more to do, but I just think, I hope they reconsider.
The offshore area of India encompassing territorial waters, the continental shelf, the exclusive economic zone and other maritime zones is now open for exploration. Minister for Coal and Mines G. Kishan Reddy launched India's first ever tranche of 13 mineral blocks for auction in offshore areas. He said that it is a historic step towards exploring and harnessing undersea mineral resources within the country's maritime zones. The first tranche features 13 strategically identified blocks in the Arabian Sea and Andaman Sea. These areas are rich in minerals including construction sand, lime mud and polymetallic nodules, which are key for infrastructure growth, advanced manufacturing and the green energy transition. And New York City held its 98th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade under pouring rain. Despite the relentless downpour, the parade marched on, showcasing its signature floats, giant balloons, marching bands and musical performances. Now, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. All right, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Stay tuned for more news and updates. Namaskar.